Hey guys, so I decided I was gonna make a second video. I actually already recorded a video of my miscarriage, not of my miscarriage, but about my miscarriage, and I was really tired in that video, and I I recorded it after my follow-up year update on my thyroid cancer, and so I was already tired in that video if you watched it, and my voice was putting me to sleep. Not that maybe I'm just I always speak kind of quiet and soft, but also my kids are in the other room, so I want to be a little more quiet. This really is the only time that I have to film a video. So I was gonna re-record it, and not to sound too peppy, but I wanted to sound a little more peppy in this video because the last one was so bad. I was putting myself to sleep watching it. So anyway, I'll talk about the miscarriage and how it was different from my first. I did mention that I had a I think I did mention that I had a miscarriage before, and if I didn't in my last video, I'm telling you now, my first pregnancy before my oldest son that I have now was a miscarriage. It was right after I had gotten married in 2013. We got pregnant right away, and we lost that baby, but at the time, obviously, I'd had health insurance, and I was going to appointments and getting ultrasounds done, and they told me that this is with my first pregnancy, that the baby wasn't looking viable, which it was a really hard situation for me, being my first pregnancy, and the way the doctors handled it, where it wasn't very sensitive, and so that will always stick with me. But I did have the D&E procedure where they went in and removed the contents of my uterus because I hadn't started the process of miscarrying on my own. Also at that time, I didn't have any medical background. I hadn't gone through nursing school at that point, so I pretty much just did whatever the doctors told me. I didn't know anything else, like what I would have had to look out for if I had, or I wouldn't have even known that maybe I could have miscarried at home. That wasn't really like given to me as an option, so I just did whatever they told me. Anyway, so fast forward to now, I had the partial thyroidectomy in September, and I guess you can look at that video that I posted if you want to know more detail about that and like how my story after that went. But basically, I got pregnant this April, and me and my husband, he works a job that doesn't provide health insurance, and I just graduated nursing school, so I'm not working right now, and we lapsed on a health insurance payment because we were struggling financially, as you would imagine, and we lost our health insurance. So basically, I got pregnant in April, and then after I got pregnant, I realized that I didn't have health insurance. So it was only 1 month, and they canceled it. So I went trying to get health insurance again once I realized it was canceled, but because you have to go through the marketplace, you have to qualify for a special enrollment period unless it's November, which is open enrollment. So I didn't qualify based off of what they, I guess, categorized as being qualifying for an open enrollment period or special enrollment period. So basically, I was screwed. I just don't have health insurance now, and I can't get it. I tried going to private insurance companies, like going straight to Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna, and they won't take you if you qualify for a discount through the marketplace. So then I have to go back to the marketplace. It's literally a nightmare. If anyone has any advice for me, even now, that would be great. I'm going to be taking my boards in at the end of July. So hopefully I'll pass and I'll get a job very quickly, and I can get on a health insurance plan ASAP. That's my goal and plan. But yeah, if anyone does have any advice in the meantime, that would be great. But anyway, what happened was I lost the insurance after finding out I was pregnant, or before, and then I found out I was pregnant, and then I found out I lost it. So, um, basically, I at one point had drinking a coffee, which I don't react well to coffee. I get really anxious. And this time, after drinking a frappuccino, which I hadn't done in months, I just wanted to treat myself. I think it might have been Mother's Day or something, but whatever. I drank a frappuccino and ended up with heart palpitations, like really bad, where I started walking around and I like almost had to like stop and catch my breath. And it was going on for like 30 to 40 minutes. And I told my husband, I whipped out my stethoscope, which I'm still not a professional nurse. I mean, if anyone's been through nursing school, you know, when you get out of nursing school, even though you know some stuff, you don't know everything. You just know enough to be scared about everything. But basically, I whipped out my stethoscope and was listening to my heart, and I was like, okay, I know that's not normal. So, I was like, yeah, we have to go to the ER, even though I knew I didn't have health insurance. I do have 2 boys. And I have to be around for them. So I'm like, let's just go. So we went and they did an ultrasound while I was there. And basically they told me that the baby was only measuring 6 weeks when I knew the baby probably should have been closer to like 10 weeks. Maybe it could have been in between, but 6 weeks was like extremely early based off of when I got the positive pregnancy test. It means I would have had to have tested positive at 3 weeks pregnant, which would be 1 week after conception. And it was like a really strong positive. So I was really skeptical and just had a feeling in my gut, even though we did see the heartbeat, I just had a feeling that it was not going to work. I don't know what it was after that. I just knew that that wasn't right and that this was going to be a miscarriage. As heartbreaking as that sounds, I was hoping for the best and praying for the baby to live and to be a healthy, happy baby. But I also logically knew that this probably wasn't going to be a full-term pregnancy. So anyway, after that, after I would have bowel movements, I would spot a little. And that was another clue to me that something wasn't right. And I also wasn't growing with the weeks progressing after that. I think I had the ultrasound like 3 weeks or 4 weeks before I actually miscarried. And I feel like in that time with my other 2 boys, like I felt like I was growing and I just wasn't getting that with this pregnancy. Now, given I couldn't go to the doctors because I didn't have any health insurance, I even called doctors' offices trying to see if they would take me, even like if I could pay them out of pocket, just for, I guess, checkups and stuff, and they won't even work with you. I tried the clinics that the ER gave me to go to, and they're only open on Saturdays for like a small window of time, and they don't specialize in OBGYN services. I mean, I'm sure they would have like given me some advice, but I feel like anything they would have told me would have been the same thing that I already know, being just coming out of nursing school. And I don't know. I'm not an expert in anything, but I feel like they wouldn't have told me anything that I didn't already know. Maybe they would. And the other part of that is I am on thyroid medication, and I feel like maybe it wasn't enough to support the pregnancy. Now I do still have half of my thyroid, so my body can produce thyroid hormone on its own, but the beginning part of the pregnancy, I was extremely exhausted, like nothing I had ever experienced with my other 2 kids. And it was like I was nauseous. It was really bad. It was worse than anything I had ever experienced in the other 3 pregnancies I had had. So to me, at first I thought, oh wow, it's just probably a different pregnancy. Maybe it's a girl this time. But in hindsight, I actually think maybe I was hypothyroid and my body was just trying to play catch up to try to make the hormone that I needed. That's the only thing I can think of. So I don't know for sure. They say a lot of miscarriages are due to just genetic disorders or whatever, but I think it could also have been related to my thyroid, which I maybe could have used a higher dose of levothyroxine or Synthroid, which is synthetic hormone, which I take in a very, very small dosage right now. So I don't know. I feel awfully guilty about everything, that I could have done more, but it's just been really hard. I mean, we found out we were pregnant in April. I was still in school. I didn't know I didn't have insurance for a little while, so I was kind of focusing on just graduating nursing school, and then I was going to take care of getting my doctor's appointments set up and stuff. And then that's when I realized I didn't have the insurance, and then what else? It's like been a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind of a year, or even a year and a half. My grandmother passed away in January, and then that's when everything spiraled. I found out I had the nodule, and then from there I was getting all the biopsies done. I was in nursing school. I've got my 2 kids. We bought a house, which is great. All those things are really great, but oh, it's just been crazy. So anyway, yeah, once I started having the spotting after bowel movements, I think like a week or 2 later, I actually started bleeding, and then things quickly kind of went downhill from there. So I was bleeding, and then I really thought it could still maybe just not be a miscarriage. I was still hoping, but then it actually turned into like a period bleeding, and that's when I knew, because I was cramping and it was like I was having a period. So I knew then that it was definitely a miscarriage, but like I said, the first time I didn't miscarry on my own, I went and had the procedure done. So this time I'm thinking, I read a couple things, and the thing I was really nervous about was hearing about women having severe, almost like labor contractions, and that's what I was really afraid of. I didn't think anything was gonna pass. I thought it was going to be like a heavy period, because that's what I had read, and just there were going to be a lot of like blood clots and stuff, and that I was assuming the baby was so tiny I wasn't going to see anything definitive that would, like, I would be able to recognize as a baby, or anything that would tell me that the baby definitely passed from me. But I had told myself if I did feel anything like that, that I would retrieve the baby. I don't mean to be too graphic, but that I would try to recover the baby if I could, depending on how it happened. But I really didn't think that was going to happen if the baby had stopped growing around 6 weeks, which is what I was kind of assuming based off of that ultrasound. So what happened after that? So I was at a friend's house once I had started the period bleeding, and I, was feeling really crappy, and I was cramping. It was maybe the 2nd or 3rd day that it had started, and and then we got home, and I went to the bathroom because I felt like I had to have a bowel movement, and I sat on the toilet, and then the floodgates open. Like I could feel like blood not gushing, but it was like really coming. And then very soon after I sat on the toilet, I actually felt a large mass come out, and I knew in that moment that that was the baby. And I was not expecting that. So the sensation was really scary for me. Not so much scary as like kind of shocking, and I hate to say grossed out, but I was just like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that was gonna happen. So then I'm looking in the toilet and I don't see anything, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna find? Was the baby further along and it's gonna be like the full baby? And it was really scary, and it was traumatic, I'm not gonna lie. Because I didn't know what to expect, even though I had had the miscarriage before. So I woke my husband up because, okay, my room is really messy, but I'll show you. This is our bed, and my husband works nights, so he sleeps during the day, and then our bathroom is right here. So I'm in the bathroom, and I'm calling over to him like, hey, you need to go get like something for me to like scoop it out, and I'm crying, and and I think I was like in shock a little bit because I wasn't probably as emotional as I could have been to like signal to him like, hey, like you should be a little more helpful. So he went downstairs, grabbed the stuff, and went straight back to sleep. So at that point, like I'm sitting there in the bathroom, kind of like focused on trying to get the baby out or see what came out. And I did. I got, like, after, like, 3 utensils, I finally got it out. Don't worry, I threw the utensils away. But, it was, oh, and I'm gonna share this for anyone who might be going through this or might be wanting to know what to expect if you go through a natural miscarriage. Um, it was like a sac. It was like what I think was the gestational sac, because I couldn't see a baby, but I could clearly see it almost looked like a placenta, and it was kind of like squishy like that. I didn't touch it with my bare hands, but like I did kind of like you could see the consistency. So I didn't cut into it to try to find the baby or anything, but after I had looked up a couple pictures, I realized that that was, I think, the full gestational sac with the baby in it. So it makes me so sad. I really was looking forward to the baby despite the circumstances. I just know things would have worked out in the end. Things always work out. God always allows you to get through things somehow. It's like amazing. Sometimes the things you think you're not going to get through, somehow in the end you look back and you're like, wow, I can't believe we came through on the other side of that. But so I was still looking forward to the baby despite our tough circumstances, because I kept saying, you know, soon I'll get a job, and it was really stressful to think about like all the things we still have to get done, but it could have all happened in a short period of time. But I think, you know, God does do things for certain reasons, and maybe it was because he knew maybe we weren't completely prepared and it was going to be a hard road if we had to have a baby in January. I don't know, but so anyway, yeah, we still were looking forward to having the baby, and the baby meant something to us. So I got one of my kids like kind of thick cotton receiving blankets, and I folded it up and then put the gestational sac or the baby in the blanket and wrapped it up, and we made a little garden in our backyard and buried the baby. And actually it was in our front yard, but it's like off to the side in the back. Yeah, so we buried the baby and made a little like memorial kind of garden for the baby, or we can call it an angel garden or whatever. So as you can see, I wear my Garden Answer t-shirt because I watch Laura on Garden Answer. So we're like, I'm so into gardening now, thanks to her. But yeah, it was just really hard and heartbreaking. I made the other video. I don't really want to post it just because I was so low energy. And I was actually crying in it and stuff, so, I mean, which seems to be a more appropriate reaction, but I am like a week or more removed. I'm almost 2 weeks removed from the miscarriage, and like I said, I did kind of expect that it was going to happen, and, you know, we had a lot going on, and I do have a lot of faith now that God does things for a reason, and maybe it wasn't necessarily God doing this to me, it was just how nature took its course, and I still think good comes from everything, every bad thing, something good comes from it. And I know the baby's in heaven, and that's the best place you could ever be. I mean, you might believe differently, but those are my beliefs. And I just, you know, I know it's so hard to go through that. And I don't know. I don't even know what to say. It was really hard. It was I mean, for everything that we've been through, which is not, we haven't been through the worst of the worst. Thank God we're still here and we're all healthy and living. But it's been a really hard year. So for this to happen was just almost like another thing, because I just graduated nursing school, and it's almost like, oh, like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going to get better. And then we lost the baby. And it was really hard. And I told my kids, I have a 5, well, he's 4 now. He's going to be 5 in July, and then I have a 3-year-old. He just turned 3, who he doesn't understand as much, but my 4-year-old, he actually does understand, and he, I didn't realize like how much he would understand, and I told him the baby wasn't going to come, and the baby went to heaven, and he was actually really sad, and that was hard. I think realizing that it affected more than just me, and I know he has a little brother, and I'm so grateful for my 2 boys. They're the best. I love them. They're, you know, a handful, but we're very lucky to have them, and they bring so much joy to our lives. And I know they would have loved to have another baby in the family. I know they would have so much fun and be the best big brothers to any boy or girl. But you know what? I know in time the right things will happen, and this isn't I can't control everything in life. That's not my job while I'm here. My job is to grow and to be the best person I can be and to try to make other people's lives better. And that's what I think is getting me through this hard time, is that I'm trying to look outside of myself. I'm not great at it, but I try to look outside of myself and see that there's more to this world and to why I'm here than just me. It's not all about me. And I know the baby, like, I'm trying to think of the baby and knowing that the baby's in a better place, and that I need to be grateful for what I have right now, and that's my 2 boys, and that I've grown and changed and learned a lesson from the baby that I had, even though it was only for a really short time. And I hope that at any point, and no one can tell anyone who had a miscarriage how to feel, because trust me, especially my first miscarriage, I remember anything anyone said other than "I'm really sorry for your loss." I didn't like to hear any advice or any, like, it was meant to, what will be, will be, whatever advice. It was always hurtful, or God knows what's best, or stuff like that. It was always hurtful, because it still doesn't make better the way you're feeling. But if I can say anything to anyone, I guess it would be how I dealt with it. It was just that I know I know that, like, I grew in certain ways from this, and that's, I guess, the one takeaway I can say, is that I've grown as a person, and that the baby did change me, and that's the blessing I got from the baby and the pregnancy. So I guess I'll leave you guys with that. Maybe I really would like to do more fun videos, because I posted the video about my thyroidectomy, which, I'll still post videos about that, because it was a really hard time, and it changed my life. It changed me. I was actually working, I think if you watch my other videos, I was working as a tech during the time that I found out I had the thyroid cancer, and I've also been in nursing school, so I've been in and out of hospitals working, but then also to become the patient, and just kind of feeling the fear and the vulnerability, which I feel like I have a very, like, empathetic, sympathetic soul, that I can kind of feel how others are feeling without actually being in their exact position. I feel like this was a whole other experience, because it changed my perspective on life and even spirituality. I really had to dig deep about what I believe, and I think that's helped me a lot, even with this miscarriage, because I realized that life is so short, and now I'm gonna cry. That we really should try to find out what we're here for. And I know that's, like, the big question of life, but I think if you can find out what you believe, it makes life easier to go through the hard times, because you kind of have that anchor to go back to, that okay, well, I believe that we're here for a bigger purpose. Maybe you can find your life mission, or what you believe is you're gonna be doing when you die, or if you're even gonna be here when you die. But that I was forced to face, and that was always actually my biggest fear, up until I started kind of going through that journey of, like, healing a little bit. Like in my last video I talked about, and when I started going to the chiropractor, actually, like, back in, like, February, I had gotten to such a low point that I had to face, I think, my physical pain, try to take care of myself, because I do eat junk a lot. I still do. Since I went back to my regular diet, it's not good. I still hate it, because I know it makes me feel like SHIT. And anyway, so I think I had started to actually face my demons and my fears. I still have a lot to conquer, but I was facing what I believed about death, and I was realizing that, like, I have to take care of myself, that I'm more than just this physical body. I have to actually take care of myself mentally, and I'm not talking about, I mean, yes, in definitely like a mental health kind of way, but like also in a spiritual kind of way. Like I had to nurture my soul a little bit, and I started reading the Bible, and I actually realized, even though I had not been a great Christian all this time, I realized that I did grow closer to Jesus, and I really felt strong in my belief. I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't push anyone away, me talking about my beliefs, but whatever it is for you, I think it is important, and to explore what you believe in. I also actually realized that I believe in more than just, necessarily, I think the teaching of the Bibles are great, because that's our biggest tool to finding out what God wants of us and what Jesus's message was for us. But also that there might be a little more spiritual energy kind of things that aren't talked about that could be explored, and I think it has a lot to do with our health. And I do think if you look in the Bible, those things also tie back into the Bible. So it's just fascinating to me, and I think it's something that people are starting to explore more into. Anyway, not to get off on a rant, but maybe I could do another video about that, because that's a whole other subject. Maybe I'll do a video. I was going to talk about like the garden I made. Maybe I could do a video showing you guys of the little angel garden I'm making, and then in the front yard I'm doing all kinds of fun stuff. I'm copying Laura from Garden Answer. It just is a coincidence that I'm wearing her shirt to bed, but yeah, so maybe I can do some like more uplifting videos rather than like the ones about my thyroid, so you can kind of see maybe the therapy I was going through. I actually picked up gardening after I had the thyroid surgery. Even though I was watching Laura, that like kind of got me wanting to, I guess, actually I had started before that, but like when I was going through this hard time with like all the biopsies and all the stress, I started the gardening, and it really like helped me. And I do believe in the earth body connection. I think there's definitely a connection between our health and the earth, like which also goes back to what the foods we eat. So anyway, I want to get further into that stuff in my life, but also if I could share it with you guys, that would be fun. And if anybody wants to watch it, that would be fun too. But I'll maybe do a garden tour. My garden is like nowhere near Laura's garden, but if you want to see it, I can do a video of that. But thanks for all the nice comments, and I hope all you guys are doing good. Some of you guys have, well, almost, no, everyone's been so sweet, and it's really special. Just having like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm glad that I can talk to people about what they're going through, because it's so scary. And even the miscarriage thing, like if there's anyone who, I don't know, like who has questions about what I went through, because I couldn't go to the doctor. I mean, I could have gone to the ER. They can't turn you away. So that's one piece of advice I have for anyone. If you don't know what's going on, even if you don't have health insurance, go to the ER. If you don't have the health insurance, they can't turn you away, even though you'll end up with a ginormous bill. They have charity care and stuff at the hospital. You can work out. But also like seek advice from your doctor. I graduated nursing school. I'm not licensed yet, but still seek advice from your doctor. I'm not an expert. I am just a novice nurse, not even technically yet. So always go to your doctor. I still trust expert opinion. It's just I do also have like my own alternative like things I believe in. So, but that doesn't put any bearing on what you do. You can educate yourself in whichever ways you want, but actually there are some benefits to natural miscarriage. Not to say that you can't incorporate your doctors into that plan if you choose to ever go through a natural miscarriage. It's actually lower risk of infection, which I just found out after doing some research after I had the miscarriage. So it is an option, but like I said before, I didn't really question anything the doctor said, and I probably wouldn't have even questioned it this time. Maybe I would have, but I probably wouldn't have questioned it, and I probably would have just had the D&E this time, just because I don't know. I mean, because in some ways I think I can try to, like, I like to branch off and do my own thing, but if I had had the choice, I don't know that I would have chosen to do this, but it was kind of shocking. But you know what, maybe, I know our bodies are intelligent and they were designed by God. Not that, you know, things can't go wrong, but it's just to say that our bodies are smarter than we give them credit for. So, if you guys have any questions about the miscarriage or even more thyroid questions, just let me know. And if you want to see any of my garden or my therapy things that I did for my mental health or my pure enjoyment, I can show you that too. I love it, but it's nothing spectacular yet. All right, guys, well, have a good day or night, whatever, and maybe I'll make another video. All right, bye.